Hi, everyone. I'm Greg. That's Matthew Skoltz, and you're getting ready to watch Motul Superbike race number 2 from Virginia International Raceway. It's the Moto America Championship of Virginia. Now, make sure you keep up to date with our latest content. Click subscribe and hit the bell to get immediate notifications every time we upload new content. Race number 2, it's going to be exciting. Enjoy.
When the lights go off, let's see what kind of start Tony Elias gets. He was crushing it yesterday. Oh, but a good start as well from
Raj. Yeah,
Roger
second in
Hayden.
a row. Great start for Roger Hayden. But Tony's got out front early. And Matthew, again, fourth off the line. And it's all going to be a matter for Matthew of how quick he can get up to these guys. He's already got by Raj going in and through turn 1. So now Matthew's right where he wants to be. He's got anybody in front of him but the two guys that were setting the pace yesterday. Matthew Skoltz can run the pace of the two guys in front of him. So I expect to see 3 riders in this one as Josh Herrin now has moved himself past Roger Hayden as well. So, and Roger's got some bumps and bruises from yesterday. I know that for a fact. I had a talk with him last night, text messaging with him actually, and I know he's sore in some places that are pretty important.
Josh Herrin getting a little sideways there, working that Yamaha R1. Attack Performance Herrin Compound. There's a look, Roger Hayden, just left part of your screen. Jake Lewis.
Great start for Jake, up to 6th really, really early, and he's got Raj right in front of him. But here you go. Matthew Skoltz already taking a look. I've been waiting for a dry race to see what Matthew will do with Cameron and Tony, because I feel like not only does he have the pace, but he's got the nerve, Greg. He's got the nerve to be able to. These guys are just 2 other guys to him on the grid. They're nothing else but. And Josh Herrin on this opening lap is gonna bring himself right to the front as well. He's gonna try to go underneath Skoltz as they come down in through this turn 14 area. First lap is underway, and Josh is trying to do something with Skoltz right off the bat. And this is exactly what Matthew doesn't want as he slides it back up underneath Josh in turn 1. Let's see if on the flip back over into turn 2, if Herrin can get back underneath him. He can't. But I said that they may have made some changes to that attack R1 to get Josh a little bit more comfortable, and it looked like that's what they've done.
Yeah, there's no love between Matthew Skoltz and Josh Herrin. I mean, not that they don't like each other. It's just, hey, when they're on the racetrack, it's anyone's position.
Yeah.
They're not going to give it up at all. And yesterday there was an incident between the 2 riders that saw Josh Herrin run off the racetrack. In my conversation with both Matthew Skoltz, the number 11, and Herrin, number 2, as he slides his way into 3rd spot, Herrin, both of them said it was just one of those incidents. There wasn't enough room on the racetrack to make the turn for both bikes, and Herrin had to take a ride off in turn number 10.
Yep, and both guys ride for really, really good teams that are very well put together. So here comes Josh as he's looking down the inside right now of Cameron Beaubier as they get into turn 10. But now this field, Raj has closed back up. Jake Lewis has closed up onto the back of this group as well.
Early stage of this race looks almost like the Super Sport race. Battle for 2nd spot, Roger Hayden, Yoshimura Suzuki, injured in yesterday's melee. Big crash for him. I mentioned he passed that concussion protocol Moto America has in place. And I went and got all the details of that concussion protocol, and it is a very thorough exam, including some goggles that you have to go through and test with no medication. You can't have any pain medication, and make sure you have no symptoms. So Roger Hayden and the crew thinking.
Josh wanted to have a look there at Cameron going into turn 3. He's good up into turn 7. He's going to try something right now, Greg, as they go into turn 4. He gets the thing back then, stopped, and he's through on Cameron Beaubier. So Josh Herrin doing exactly kind of what I thought they might do. Richard's really, really good at looking over the data and trying to make some changes. And right now, Herrin's going forward.
Josh Herrin, Attack Performance, Herrin Compound Yamaha. That's a privateer machine. Richard, that Jason's talking about, is Richard Stamboli, the owner of Attack Performance, now going after Tony Elias. So it's factory Suzuki versus privateer Yamaha, factory Yamaha, privateer Yamaha, and factory Suzuki. And this is exactly what Moto America has been designing this class with world rules to have this exact parity in this class, not only between manufacturers, but between the teams themselves.
Yep, and we see it just in the background there that Jake lost a little time in that first split. He lost 6/10 in the first split. So maybe there was a slight mistake made.
Talking about Jake Lewis?
Jake Lewis, sorry. He was just up there behind Raj. And now Raj is kind of right behind these top 4. Bobby Fong now is closed up on Jake Lewis. So we'll see if, keep an eye on Jake, see if he can close that gap back up. But things back up at the front. Tony's leading the way. Josh has kind of settled himself into second. The pace, though, Greg, 24.8, 24.5 for Herrin that lap. 24.5s and 4s and 3s and 2s are what we saw at Escolts this morning, leading the way in warm-up. So right now, full tank of fuel, kind of feeling each other out a little bit here, 4 laps in. I'm expecting to see all these guys start jumping into the 24s really consistent, as they all just did it right now on this lap for the first time.
A couple things that the Yamalube Westby Racing Yamaha team did for Matthew Skoltz, give him a little bit more of a front-end feel. And when I ran into him earlier today, Matthew Skoltz was very, very excited. He was excited about the pace he ran in warm-up, but he was also excited about the feel. Additionally, his crew chief Ed told me that they took a little bit of traction control out of that motor. He's going to allow that rear tire to spin a little bit more, but it is going to allow him to have the drive onto the front straightaway he wants. Josh Herrin all over the racetrack right now, at the moment trying to find a way around Tony Elias. Tony is a fighter.
Josh has pace, though. I can see it. You know, he's got pace down this hill, all up through the top in turn 8 and 9 as well.
Pace, but does he have the patience?
Yeah, well, when you got pace and you feel like you want to take advantage of the tire while it's new, you want to get by guys as quickly as you can. So that's what you're seeing from Josh. He's already made quick work of Skoltz and Beaubier. So right now he's just doing his best to try to close up on the back of Tony and to do something with him as quickly as he can, and then we'll see what kind of times he can run on his own. The thing is it's very hard to pass Tony. When Tony gets into this groove where he's in right now,
tight lines.
Yep, he's very tight into places. So, you know, we saw these two guys come together last year up in turn 10, and Josh is really, really strong out of turn 9 and the lead up and the build up to turn 10. And you can see Rod just come into the pits. I think he's just too sore, to be honest with you, Greg.
Yeah, he kind of pointed to his helmet there. So Roger Hayden, what an effort that he put in to get out on that motorcycle after a huge, huge crash. If you've seen any of those pictures on social media, you know that that dude was airborne. Oh, Josh Herrin, a little deep.
A little wide.
Yeah, into turn number 7, trying to make it all up on the gas. As you can see, that Attack Performance R1 protesting under his throttle hand right now. Cam Beaubier is just kind of hanging back there. So now it's left up to these 4 at this point. Tony Elias, Yoshimura Suzuki, our reigning national champion. He wears the number 1 plate. Behind him, number 2, Josh Herrin. That is the Attack Performance Herrin compound machine. And then you have Cameron Beaubier and the Monster Energy Yamalube factory racing machine. And then Yamalube Westby Racing's Matthew Skoltz. Don't ever count him out of this. The only question mark, I think, for this team, the number 11 team, is what's the rear tire going to do beyond this point? Yesterday we saw a lot of grip start being lost after lap number 5, and Tony Elias gets the thing sideways into turn 1. Is he able to hold it back down to the apex? He is.
Josh's bike is spinning up a lot. He's trying a lot on the exits, but see, Tony gives it a lot of input while he's still really heavy on that front brake, Greg, and that's why you see the bike backing in, because he's getting it in there tighter and down to the apex earlier. He's not going to allow somebody to try to come up underneath him. It's going to be a big move to either go around the outside of him, or he's got to try to position himself further back, or they're going to. And here's Josh. He's strong into 7. See how Tony moves over to the right, though, and enters so tight? It makes it really, really hard. So Josh was amazing out of the S's that time on the run down to turn 7, but it's really hard to do something with Tony going in there. But now he's kind of ramping up this pass that I'm feeling is going to come. Look how much faster he is up through 8 and 9. Now we're going to see if he can do anything, get up alongside of him into 10. Nope, not that lap. There's a little curbing there that if you hit it, it can do one of 2 things. You can jump it and be absolutely smooth, or it can kind of upset the chassis. And just that lap, it just upset the chassis enough for Josh, where he decided not to try to make it, that pass.
Getting ready to go, 17 laps to go as Yoshimura factory rider Tony Elias leads us onto the front straightaway and across the stripe. A good look at factory Suzuki horsepower versus privateer Yamaha horsepower. And watch Tony get it sideways and just take it right to the inside of that corner. If you're going to pass Tony, you've got to go the long way around. There's Richard Stamboli, right part of your screen, just took his glasses off. There's Daisuke, the crew chief for Tony Elias, who leads the way. Well, little up and over the curb as well, getting that number 1 bike a little bit squirrely. So Cam Beaubier losing a couple of bike lengths in this section.
Josh is fast all through here. Look how quick that bike turns. Look at the drive he gets. But see, Tony will move over to the right here, and it makes it very hard to try to go underneath him. And you can see Josh gets in there deep, probably running wide. Yeah, he's in there deep. He's on the same exact line they're not going to be able to get by Herrin there, I don't think, because he was able to square it up. But if he goes in as fast and on the same exact line as Tony, the bike doesn't operate the same exact way. Tony has a way of setting up a bike for himself that he's able to do that. And it's really hard for other guys to do it, which makes him very hard to pass.
Just trying to take a look at the different riding styles of these riders, Jason, and who's abusing that tire the worst. I mean, Tony's pretty smooth. He gets into turn one, he sends it sideways, but here's another look at what we just saw.
There's a moment there for Josh where he realizes, oh, I'm in here deep. That's why you see the rear of the bike come off the ground, but he's able to get out there and still get the bike turned. Cameron thought for a minute that he could get underneath him. But
amazing bike control.
Yeah, all these guys. I mean, and they're all pushing. That's the thing, is every one of them are pushing. Matthew's just kind of, it looks like Matthew's just kind of sitting there right now. He realizes that just getting by Cameron isn't going to really matter much, because he realizes how hard Herrin is going after Tony right now as well.
Yeah, and after their battle yesterday, he knows exactly how hard Josh Herrin is willing to go to stay in front of the 11 bike.
Yep. And you know, Josh did a very good job early getting by these two, but this guy here is so hard to pass. Now watch the run he gets through all this little area here, 5, 6, 7. You know, all through these S's, he's so fast, but he has to position himself on the left-hand side, and this time he's done that a little bit more. You can see he's just on the left a little bit more. He's going to be tighter to the curbing now when he goes up the hill than he was last lap. It just makes it really hard to try to, you know, pinpoint a spot. Like, you almost want to feel like you try to push Tony into making a mistake, but he doesn't make them.
Yeah, that's the problem. He just doesn't make them. Josh Herrin is credited with the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:24.558. That was done on lap number 3. So like you're saying earlier, Jason, we know that Josh Herrin has pace.
Yep.
The question is, after looking at this now for these last couple laps, JP, where is Tony Elias vulnerable at this point to even pass the guy?
Yep. Well, he pulls the bike down to the, he really pulls the bike down to the apex so early. Even in turn 9 to 10, it looks like he's going to be on the outside of the track. But see, what happens right now is, watch how early he turns in. See how much earlier he turns in than the 3 behind him. And what a job Jake Lewis is doing right now. 25 flat. He's only 3 seconds behind the leader of the race, and just plugging in the laps. Bobby Fong as well in 6th.
M4X Star Suzuki rider Jake Lewis, his father passed away just a couple of days ago, out on social media last night, basically thanking everyone, thanking the Moto America Series, the fans, and all the people that are supporting him. He feels like this was the absolute best thing that he could do for himself after his father unexpectedly passed away, was get out on the racetrack and refocus on his job. He knows that his dad wanted him to do that, and Jake Lewis in a solid 5th spot. Bobby Fong, our feature from earlier, out there on that Quicksilver Lexan Moto Hudson Motorcycles Yamaha R1, as he's transitioning this year from a different brand of motorcycle, getting used to this team, getting used to this motorcycle, and Bobby Fong sits 4 seconds adrift of that crazy battle we have up front in 6th position.
Which is nothing when you think about it. I mean, there you go. Like Matthew Skoltz has just made a move underneath Cameron Beaubier. So I really feel like the pace at the front, I feel Matthew could have pushed that pace even more had he got a better start and got up front. Now maybe he feels like it's a good time to get past, see if he can go up here and do something with Herrin. But again, these guys are going to run into that number 1 plate that's very hard. You asked me earlier, where do you do it? Where are you going to try to go by him? It's got to be a mistake, or it's got to take a big move. And last year, Josh made a big move in turn 10, and this year I feel like that's going to be his best spot again, because he gets to run through 8 and 9 so well.
Yeah, and you think about last year, if Tony Elias's pit board is telling him Josh Herrin's behind him, Tony's a really smart rider, and he learns from what happens on the racetrack, and he'll definitely be thinking about it. The one who looks most threatening right now is Skoltz, but Skoltz knows that even if he gets a chance to get by Herrin, he's going to fight right back.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
This is the move.
Yep,
and replay.
Great move by Matthew. And see, what we'll do is when they come back up to that segment here, or that section again, you're going to see that where Tony exits 9 is pretty normal, but he cuts off the entry to turn 10 so early. These guys know what he does. To get up alongside of him before he does that is almost impossible. So this is kind of the run-up, and I believe the guys in the Yamahas, you can see how close they are. But what happens is that, see where Tony is now, but watch. When he comes back into screen, see how tight he is compared to the rest? That last little spot, right before he tips in, he just gets in there earlier than the rest of them.
You know what I'm thinking, Jason, if I'm Matthew Skoltz, the opportunity for him would be when Josh Herrin tries to make a move around Tony Elias and box him. If I am Matthew Skoltz, that's when I'm trying to go. Just try to get by 2 riders at once.
Well, it's got to be. What I don't disagree, but what I think is going to happen is that when Herrin sits up because he realizes he can't get past Tony when he sits up, that's when Matthews got to strike. Matthews got to strike then. Matthews got to be close enough to where when he gets in the draft of Herrin, and they're going, nope, he's trying to go underneath him.
Sorry, that was the mistake from Tony. I think he just got in there a little wide. We thought he might have it. Sorry, Jay, continue with your thought.
No. But I think that what's going to happen is that when he sees that Herrin is content just kind of slow, here we go, Greg, turn 3, nope, not quite close enough. But even into turn 7 here in a minute, if Herrin makes a move to the left and realizes that he can't go by or underneath Tony, that's going to be the spot where Matthews got to try to strike on him.
The one thing we don't know is, can Tony Elias push the pace? Meaning, if someone goes by him, we talked about it yesterday. We've seen this movie before. Herrin, he's been in that, Jay. Not as wide.
He did good there to keep it back down. Yeah. Had it back then.
Doesn't seem that his motorcycle works as well, Josh Herrin's motorcycle, as well as the other riders around him heading into turn number 7.
Just on a tighter line. You know, here you go. Matthew's going to come up underneath him now, and that's kind of what I was talking about. You know, there's no way that Josh feels that he can get by Matthew. So Herrin's going to, and Josh's the kind of guy that's going to fight right back. He's not going to sit back really and watch Matthew and try to figure out where Matthew's going to get Tony. You know, I feel like Josh is going to try to fight back pretty quickly. That's what he does. That's what I love about him. So this time though, Matthew gets a good drive out of there. Josh isn't going to be close enough.
Oof.
So we're going to get a lap or two here now and see where Matthew is going to try to do something with Tony as well.
Max Flinders, Thrash Bike Racing LLC, getting out of the way and letting this battle go. So Flinders does a good job of getting out of the way. All right, so it's now Tony Elias, Matthew Skoltz, Josh Herrin. Cam Beaubier has been sitting back there. There are certain sections of the racetrack where you can see that Beaubier struggles a little bit with grip on his motorcycle, but Skoltz, he was happy, he was excited, and he's got pace right now, and he's got a lot more confidence in the front end of his Yamaha R1 than he did yesterday.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see now because the pass that he made on Josh in the last lap is going to be very difficult to do to Tony. So it's going to have to be a very, very early commitment out of 9 to try to get up alongside. Now, this is where Matthew can use his size a little bit more, too, over some of the other guys. He can get himself off the inside of the bike, and you can see the bike sliding as he came through 9. This lap here, Tony had pulled a little bit of a gap up through that top section on them to where they weren't close enough at all coming into turn 10.
12 laps remaining, getting ready to work 11 to go as we take a look at Yamalu Westby Racing's Matthew Skoltz. There's his crew chief, Chuck Giacchetto behind him as they take a look and do it old style. He's going to click the watch and see what kind of lap time his rider did. 24-7 apiece for Elias and Skoltz, 24-8 for Herrin, and a 24-8 for Cam Beaubier. So,
the thing that makes me nervous for these guys right now is that Tony did his fastest second split. That's why those guys weren't getting close enough to him at the top. And you can see Cameron Beaubier now has made the move past Josh Herrin up to 3rd. So Cameron Beaubier has made that pass that he wanted to make.
Incredible ride by Josh Herrin so far.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the amount of time they've had on this motorcycle, and of course Attack Performance, that's a custom swing arm designed and CNC machined by Richard Stamboli at Attack Performance. A lot of custom trick parts on that motorcycle, working on getting that whole motorcycle package together. The fact that they're showing this kind of pace, it wouldn't surprise me though. Josh was working so hard at the beginning of this race, as if he's starting to feel a little bit of slip and slide underneath him on those Dunlop slicks.
You can see Josh's bike getting loose. All of them are getting a little bit loose.
Sure.
But for the amount of time that they have had on that bike, you got to remember, they didn't get to do Road Atlanta on that motorcycle. They went to COTA, and here's a really good slow motion shot. There's a look at the tires that Tony Ellis is on, the Dunlop front soft and rear soft both.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, those guys have had such little time on that bike to be doing to be running the lap times he's running is great. 24.5. I'm looking this time. Cameron Beaubier's fastest lap of the race. So maybe the two-time champ has just been kind of sitting back there, letting these guys do their thing, watching what's going on. He doesn't look very stressed sitting there, though. I can tell you that. He looks very comfortable. And but Matthews ran into that same problem now, hasn't he? Like, he just hasn't been able to figure out, how do I get by Tony?
Where is Tony vulnerable? That really is the question.
He just isn't. He isn't. And
the only chance you have, Jay, is if you can get a drive on him and get up alongside of him somewhere, but he's so good off the corners.
Well, it's not just that, but he closes off the direction that you want to go before you even think about going there. Like generally you want to go up the inside of somebody here, but it's pretty impossible. And you might look on the TV screen and say, well, he's only 3/4 track. And now you just look back to say, oh, I do have like all 4 people behind me. That's why I keep getting +0s on my board. But the thing is that he closes off your idea of, okay, I got to position myself to the inside. Like, see, here's the spot where I think that these guys have to try, but they know that. See how early he closes it off? It makes it very, very difficult.
And a good drive. So Tony Elias continues to lead us. This is the battle for first place. So one of these riders, if they can make it all the way to the end, is going to miss out on the podium.
And see, Herrin is just right there. He's running the same pace as these guys. Nobody's going anywhere in this group. But see, you'll see here that you'll see how close they are to him. By the time they get into the corner, and here comes Cameron, he's going to try to slide it up underneath, and he does. So maybe Cameron feels like he can do something with it now. Now we got all 3 Yamaha guys that are going to be taking shots. 2 of them have tried already and not been successful. Let's see if the 3rd one can.
Matthew was doing something at full lean angle in that corner with his left hand, almost like he was trying to take a tear off mid-corner.
It looked like it, but yeah,
I don't know what he was doing there.
I don't know if it's frustration or, yeah, it could have been a tear off, though.
Could have been maps, possibly, but I mean, usually you can operate that with your thumb, meaning, oof,
yep.
A little bit of movement. I mean, we've seen that tail section kind of bouncing around on Herrin, but that one was a bit of it. There goes Josh Herrin. He takes a tear off in that section. So Tony Elias, nice tight line again. Up the hill he goes. 25-1 last time by the stripe. Herrin still credited with the fastest lap of the race. That was back on lap 3. And unless something really happens, Tony Elias is starting to try to pull the pin, Jay.
Yep, 39-2 in that first split. So that's the fastest split of the race, of the first split. So now Tony has paced this race for as long as he has. And I can't tell you how hard it is. You know, this guy's got a ton of experience doing it now, but it's very difficult to lead a race like this when you see +0 on your board every single lap. And when now he knows too, Greg, that he's got not just one person he's dealing with, but he's got 3 behind him. So he wants to be very careful that if he lets one person through, that he doesn't let all 3 of them go through. So that lap there at 24.6, his personal fastest split. But see how much of a gap he's got like right now? Do you see that? That's all because of how he enters the corner. He's got some speed obviously down the straightaway, but the way he brakes and then releases the lever at the apex, he just trails off there a lot further into the corner, which allows him to brake a little bit deeper in.
Tony Elias working it hard. His personal best split last time around in the last section. So a 24.6. Cam Beaubier trying to go with him at this point as Matthew Skoltz has been relegated back to 3rd spot. The question is, does Josh Herrin have a shot at the podium? He's starting to drift just off the back of these 3 front runners.
Well, they've all dropped the pace a little bit in the certain sectors. And so right now, Matthew's doing his best to try to stay on the back of Cameron. That first split there from Matthew was his fastest of the race. And, you know, these are our 3 title contenders right now as far as the points go as well.
About 7.5 laps remain in this Motul Superbike class race. Tony Elias leading the way on that Yoshimura Factory Suzuki. He has shown everyone the way around VIR for the moment. Cameron Beaubier on the Monster Energy Yamalube Factory Racing Yamaha, and then that privateer machine, Yamalube Westby Racing's Matthew Skoltz. And this looks like it's the battle for the podium.
Yeah, and that's the lap there. 24.7s for the first 3 guys and 25.2 for Josh. So that was the lap there that Josh just started to fall off the back with 7 to go now. And there's Jake Lewis still holding down an incredible 5th place right now for Jake.
And I have to say, for Jake Lewis on the M4 XR Suzuki, the only other rider of those top 4 in the 24s, a 24.8 as his best. Here's 60 helmets, Kyle Wyman. Kyle still battling back pain. He said he was about 80% of what he normally is, and he's caught in a fight. It looks Danny Eslick on that Scheibe Racing Hayes Brakes machine. So Danny Eslick on that BMW, that 7th spot, as we've seen Bobby Fong drift back into 8th. So Kyle Wyman is about 5.7 seconds back from Jake Lewis, but he's trying to fight off the advances of a very talented Danny Eslick.
Yeah, and they're continuing to make that BMW a little bit more comfortable for Danny to ride on. And Even just looking at it on our screen right now, the bike looks a lot better than it had earlier in the weekend when I was out there kind of watching it. And this bike's I'm looking forward to seeing Danny on this bike at Road America. I think that the BMW's got some legs for sure. And I think that they're just going to continue to make that bike better. Now here's our front three, Greg. Cameron has really closed up, and he's got a run on Tony. But let's see, is he going to try to go down to the inside of him? He is. And
whoa, Tony. How you doing? Cameron Beaubier trying to make it work for him. In what's been a Tony Elias spot the whole time. He just couldn't get it slowed down.
Now, we saw that move yesterday. We saw Tony doing that to Cameron all day yesterday. Like for 4 laps in a row, we saw Cameron or Tony go down the inside. Now they've got one little bit of traffic. Looks like they're going to come up on here. And they should be able to get, there's 2 guys actually.
Yep.
Hopefully they're going to be able to get by both of these guys down this next little short chute, which I think that they should be able to do.
The crew looking on. Oh, is that
good guys right there getting out of the way.
Bruno Silva and Sam Berderico.
Yep, good guys.
So good move by those 2. They know the blue flag procedure that it's coming. This is the race, and they got a short look at an absolutely spectacular battle as now the fastest lap of the race has just been recorded. 17 laps into this race, Jason. That's how great and amazing these Dunlop tires are holding up under this brutal pace. A 124.518 for Matthew Skults.
Yep, and again, this is where I would love to have seen Matthew get a start right off the line and get into that turn 1 first, because I think he had a lot of pace this morning. He was just clicking them off like nothing. I know it was a little cooler this morning, but here we go. These top 3 guys, Cameron's going to take another shot at it. He's got to get it close enough to just get up alongside Tony. But now Tony's going to be wary of it, from that last time that Cameron gave it a go.
Tony a little wide. Cam trying to sneak it up the inside, nearly side by side. Nothing between them right now. This is a very interesting line that Tony takes. He just holds it tight and just rushes it on in there. Yeah. Putting a lot of, just asking so much from the edge grip of that Dunlop slick. Tony Elias, he's your #1 rider. He's #1 on the screen, #1 place.
It's getting close now between these 3 guys. Like really, like everything's just getting tightened up.
5 laps to go in this one. About 4.5. Cameron looks a little tidier in that section at the moment.
I think one of the lasting impressions I had of yesterday was seeing how bummed Cameron was after he came across the line, just kind of really dejected look when he got the checkered flag. And the thing I love about Cam is he's going to take a shot. There's no question. You can guarantee that Tony will take a shot when he's in second, and it's the same thing for Cameron Beaubier. He's not going to sit there. He's going to try to make something work. But what he's got to try to do, Greg, is the same thing that Tony did to him yesterday. When they come onto this front straightaway right now, he doesn't need to make the pass before the turn. There's a way that he can just get up alongside Tony and just pace himself into the turn with him and hold it to where Tony can't turn the bike in. That's what he's got to try to do. Here you go. He's trying it again. Not quite close enough.
Jason, I had a chance to go to the Yoshimura crew last night and take a look at Tony's data. Oh, he was in there deep. He gets a turn, though. To look at Tony's data, they were...
Yep.
Oh! There's almost a bit of a collision between those 2 riders. Again, the different line.
But like you noted before, that line, here comes Cameron. He's going to try to square it up. Oh, wow.
Ooh, come on, Cam. Can you get it slowed down?
But see, that's what... But Cam, I love him because he's going to try all kinds of things to try to work his way past Tony. And all those little things Tony's going to remember. Tony runs it really tight into turn 3. And Cameron's going to run it out, try to carry a lot of corner speed, get the bike picked up off the edge of the tire, and run it up underneath him into 4.
So back to what I was saying when I was able to look at some of the data that they have on this Yoshimura Suzuki. When they come across start-finish line, there's always a moment where Tony rolls off the throttle. There's a big bump actually there. And when he went to the checkered flag because Cameron was pushing him so hard yesterday, the throttle was almost completely open.
Yeah.
Just in that one lap of all the laps we raced, and his crew, I was there when his crew showed it to him, and he just went, oof, man, you don't want to do that every lap.
Checkered flag was motivating, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, checkered flag was motivating.
But Cameron's, now see, Cameron's closer this lap. This is close. So if he can get in Tony's draft, as soon as they come through this little kink, what he's got to try to do is he's got to just try to position himself just under. And I can see he's trying to do that. You can see him on the right, but he's got to just be a little bit closer still. Now he's going to try to square this up because he realizes Tony's ran wide a couple times. But see, Tony's so cagey. He knows when he's opened up something in laps previous, and he tries to correct it. Now, again, too big of a gap here for Cameron to make up going into the next corner.
Tony has that particular corner from apex to apex figured out.
But can you see the corner speed that Cameron carries through turn 3 and how much he draws up on the back of him from the apex to the exit? That he wants to be able to take advantage of, but he can't because Tony shuts the door so quickly into 4. Like right here, he's on the right-hand side of the track. It makes it impossible for you to go down underneath somebody, or you've got to be so close to them to do it. It's a big, big move.
A little bit of a mistake for Matthew Skoltz behind them. He wasn't quite clean through turn 7, trying to make it back up. A very difficult section, 8A, 8B, 9A, 9B, down to 9C. Turn 10 is the one at the top of the hill where Tony's getting into right now. It's very rhythmic there and one line as well. So if you lose a little bit of rhythm, you can start to lose a little time. It's like what's happening with Matthew Skoltz right now.
Well, I think Matthew's in a position right now where he realizes he just really can't do anything with these guys. They're fighting amongst themselves. The track is, you know, for Matthew right now, the track is very narrow, okay, because these two guys in front are taking up the majority of it. He's still there. He's not going anywhere. He'll be able to draw back up on the back of them. And with 2 to go, here you go, Greg. He's trying it again. See, Cameron's putting himself in the right spot, and he's gone wide. He's gone wide this time, and that's going to allow. But see, that's a product of the way Tony rides. It just makes it so exhausting and hard to continue to try to do the same stuff. Now, will Matthew be able to close that gap down at all?
2 laps to go in this one, and Tony Elias got the break he needed in terms of the pressure, although he's not going to know that. He might from the noise behind him. These riders talk about the noise. You can hear the other competitor, and now there's a little bit of a gap.
He's going to get a +1 on his board, though, this next time. Those guys are going to let him know that he's opened up. Cameron's going to try to shoot it back up underneath Matthew, and he does. Is he going to be able to hold it down tight? Yep. This is what Cameron does. Never gives up. And you watch this next lap. This next lap and a half from Cameron will be spectacular. He'll draw. He'll start to draw back up on the back of Tony on this last lap.
Cameron Beaubier, 2-time Superbike champion.
He's in deep there too.
He is. Can he get it turned? He's doing it. So the Monster Energy Yamalube factory Yamaha of Cameron Beaubier trying to make up for the mistake he just had, but time is running out. Only a couple corners until Tony Elias sees that white flag.
You watch this last lap by Cameron Beaubier. I wouldn't be surprised to see my screen lighting up purple, 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 because he's not giving up, Greg. I promise you, he's going to go after him as hard as he can. That's a 24.8 for Tony, 25.8. So a full second difference between these two guys on that lap alone. That's what a little mistake makes. And you can see Cameron's got that bike tied up in knots as they went through turn 1, but he's doing everything he can to try to close back up on Tony and just give himself a shot at the line.
Such a tall order to ask the Dunlop tires so deep into this race, in this heat. How much grip do they have? How much confidence does Cameron Beaubier have in his motorcycle? Because Tony Elias knows what's at stake in this one. Another race win is on the horizon as he comes through turn number 7. Cam Beaubier just set the fastest split time of the entire race. Jason, you're calling it, but is it too little, too late for Cam Beaubier?
The guy is so good. It blows me away watching Cameron ride. He's able to do this at the end of the race on old tires. He just went the fastest first split. The bike is sideways back there. As great as it is to watch Tony right now, watching Cameron close this gap is insane. So
just not enough racetrack. Cameron Beaubier asking so much. Wow, and he was sliding. Fastest split number 2 of the entire race. He may set the fastest lap of the race trying to chase Tony. Here comes Tony Elias out of the last corner and the dash to the checkered flag. And it will be Tony Elias who will take victory here at Virginia International Raceway. And in doing so, Cameron Beaubier set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:24.068. Jason Pridmore called it. I got to give it to you, dude. That was a great call.
It's an easy call.
And, oh, man, if you're Dunlop right now, you are saying how amazing is that race rubber that we put underneath Cameron Beaubier and all these racers. Those tires held up to, I don't think I've seen a last lap, fastest lap of the race in Motul Superbike in a long time.
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be that kid. He's got a lot of talent. And
wow.
I know there's a lot of frustration probably in his helmet right now because he wanted to win this race. But Tony, this is a kind of track for Tony that it's very hard to beat him at because of how he rides. And that's really it. I said 2 or 3 years ago that he kind of changed the dynamic of the way we look at our series, and he really has. And you know, when you get somebody of Cameron Beaubier's talent that's trying everything he can, throwing all he can at Tony to make a pass, but you can see what Cameron did on the last lap there with some clear track. Just amazing ride from him. But what can you say about Tony? He's such an incredible rider.
Perfect helmet too, Jason.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk, incredible Elias.
Yep.
Tony, what a move. What a race for him under tremendous pressure. And by the way, just to give you an idea, Tony Elias set the fastest personal lap of his race on the last lap. A 24.615 for Tony. It was only bested by Cameron Beaubier. So just to give you an idea of how fast, incredible Cameron was riding, he gave away 1 second basically in that penultimate lap.
He did. It was a full second, yeah.
Tony set his personal fastest lap of the race. Cameron, the fastest lap of the race, period, and clawed back just about 1/2 of a second.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And
so, yeah, margin of victory, 0.5 in the end.
Great job from Matthew Skoltz. Also, we can't lose fact that this guy was up there the entire race. And I think that if we can see Matthew get a really good start somewhere and be able to control the race the way he might want to control it, I wouldn't be surprised to see him, win in a straight-up shoot against those other two guys in a dry race.
And Jay, just to give another plug really for Dunlop and how great these tires are, a shout out to 10th place finisher David Anthony. David Anthony on that Fly Street Racing Kawasaki, he set his personal fastest lap of the race on the last lap as well at a 25.4. So a lot of riders able to do very, very quick lap times, obviously the fastest lap of the race, deep into this race. And that'll make Dunlop very pleased as they make their way into Parc Fermé. Got to send a shout out to Jake Lewis. And what an effort he put in after tragedy. He comes to the racetrack, and he will walk away with the M4 XStar Suzuki team with 2 solid 5th-place finishes for that developing Superbike program. But this is the man of the hour, Tony Elias. That incredible Hulk helmet tells the story as he and his crew have put together a spectacular package. We talked about it yesterday. A brand new part for that motorcycle, the back half of the motorcycle completely new, and Tony and his team working very hard to get that motorcycle working for him with that new swing arm, and they will come away with a pair of victories in the Motul Superbike class. It's Tony Elias, Cameron Beaubier, and Matthew Skoltz, Josh Herrin, who put on a spectacular show for us. I know, at least for Josh Herrin finishing 4th, the better consolation would have been if he could have got out front and just led for a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then Jake Lewis in 5th, Kyle Wyman on that 6D helmet machine will finish in 6th spot ahead of Danny Eslick. So he won that battle, did Kyle Wyman. Bobby Fong in 8th. Cam Peterson, great job by him and the Genuine Broaster Chicken Honda team to finish this race